right now to talk about things going on in the state of Michigan. State Representative of the 63rd District, Matt Hall, is with us. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning.
It's nice to see you again this morning and get the kind of get the day off today. I mean, the House is not in session, so it means you get to hobnob with your constituents.
That's right. Today I'm going to do office hours and coffee hours, first in Marshall at the VFW Hall at 9 a.m., and then also over in Galesburg at their Memorial District Library at 3:30. So I'm doing that. I know today Firekeepers is opening up, or they're groundbreaking on a new tower, so we'll be over there.
I think that's like 11:30 or something there.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we
glad
got
you
a lot
reminded
going
me.
on.
I'm going to try to get over there for that.
And I'll also be talking to the local realtors association to hear their thoughts also.
Oh, all right, good. I know there are some constituents out there that would like to talk to you and your colleagues about the recently passed auto insurance bill, and this was pretty widely supported by lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, I thought.
It was, I thought this got better throughout the process, the more people involved, the negotiations between the Republican leadership and the Democrat governor made this a better bill. And I do think this is the beginning. This was the heavy lift. For 40 years that they've been doing this, trying to reform it. And it took that heavy lift to stop the lobbyists and the special interests and move it forward. But there will be a number of tweaks after that still, probably for the rest of the time that I'm there.
And it takes effect a little over a year from now. Is that right?
Yeah, July 1st, 2020 is when people will start seeing relief. It's guaranteed rate relief for all drivers in Michigan. That can range depending on the plan you choose. But I think the most important part is that many people will be able to opt out altogether. If you use Medicare, if your private health insurance covers auto insurance, which most people do, they can opt out completely, and then they won't pay twice for their auto insurance, and that'll save them probably $1,000 or more per driver.
Yeah, I was trying to explain that to my mom and dad yesterday at dinner, and they're pretty excited about the idea of saving some money on auto insurance because I can afford to pay for the plan that we had before. And didn't like it, but I could afford it. But a lot of people on limited incomes, fixed incomes, senior citizens, people who are struggling to get by from day to day, maybe working a couple of part-time jobs. That was a lot for them.
It was. That's why we had to come up with a solution that brought rate relief to the people of Michigan, because it's one of the top things people told me they can't afford to pay the premiums. That's why we gave them choices, not a top-down government mandated program where they one size fits all. So we wanted to give more plans, more choices, and guaranteed rates reductions, and also to stop the gouging of prices. We capped that now so they can't gouge people, and now there should be a significant rate reduction starting next year.
Your colleague, State Representative Jim Hodsma, was in here, I think, Friday. He seems to be saying that he and his colleagues favor kind of leveling the playing field across the state in terms of rates, whereas people in Detroit pay a lot higher rate than we do right now, and probably still will under this bill. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I watched Representative Hodsma's interview, and it was good that he voted with us on it. Like you said, it was widely supported by Republicans and Democrats. And the Democrat governor signed it. But, he still talks about this issue of using geographic factors. And if we use those factors, then people in our area will pay less because there's less risk. If we do not use those factors, like Representative Hodsma says, he's fighting to stop including those factors, it'll raise our rates, and it'll lower the rates in Detroit because that's the area where there's the most risk. And I was elected by the people of Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties, so I couldn't support an amendment or a provision in that would actually raise our rates but lower the rates of Detroit. And we wanted rate relief for all the people of Michigan, and that's why we came up with this compromise that that did not include most of those factors and keeps our rates low.
Next big thing in Lansing, of course, is figuring out a state budget, and I just wonder where we're at on that right now. I mean, we're not going to have a 45-cent gas tax increase, are we?
Well, the House passed our budgets last week. The Senate has passed their budgets, and so now they're going to get together and reconcile and try to get a plan to the governor. In the House budget, we found $1.3 billion that we've cut from that budget over what Governor Whitmer proposed. So what we tried to do was look at every area of government and find places we can save money. One area is IT. They did basically a 25% cut on every department on IT because we found so much waste there. And I know as chair of the House Oversight Committee, we looked at DHHS, their IT system, and a federal court just said they spent $325 million and it's a complete waste and they need to start over. And so we're having a lot of trouble with departments of government wasting money in IT. So they cut that. They had a 3% reduction across the board. And basically what we're saying is rather than go to the people of Michigan and ask them to take a cut out of their pockets, government needs to do it first. Government needs to cut and have some skin in the game on this. And that's why we propose those 3% cuts. But we do increase spending for education. Here in our area, each student will see $180 more per student for the schools. So while we increase spending for education and higher ed, there were cuts in every other department of government. I think we need to do that before we even consider raising taxes.
Now, when the governor proposed a budget, what was the increase per pupil for the schools in hers? Do you remember?
Hers was a lot higher than ours, but hers was predicated on a 45-cent gas tax increase. And so what we've done is we've increased it, like I said, $180 per student. But, we're prioritizing the roads. We're spending money on the roads. That's where we're putting it. And so what we've done is we've dedicated all of the gas tax to roads. We're prioritizing the roads, and it's about priorities in government, and that's where we think the money should be spent first.
That budget proposal then that the House has sent over to the Senate, how much money is estimated that it will raise for roads, new money?
I think the first year it's $600 million, and then the second year it's $800 million. In the governor's plan, her first year is $800 million. So, we're not quite where she was, and then she wants to phase that up to 1.9 million or 1.9 billion. So we start out at 600. Next year we'll be at 800 million, and that's just through savings in the budget. That's through prioritizing the areas that are most important. And so when you heard people say, "Oh, you can't find anything in the budget," well, we found this year $600 million more than we spent last year, and so that would be a record in Michigan if we did that.
Now, the money raised for roads, would that still go to the same fund that funds roads right now and be distributed under Public Act 51?
Yes, very, very similar. What they're actually doing is they're using the same basic formula, but they're kind of not inserting it at the front end, which means it won't go to like waterways and bike paths and stuff like that. They're just sticking it into the formula at the bottom, which is counties and the state and stuff like that. So it's basically the BA 51 formula. So you'll see a lot more money go into that for the people of Calhoun and Kalamazoo counties than you would under the governor's plan, which sends most of that money to Detroit.
Right. Yeah, they wanted to set up a special fund for, I believe the phrase was the most traveled or the highest use roads in Michigan. And so I pulled up the MDOT map to see where those were. And yeah, there's maybe one in Grand Rapids and all the rest are in southeast Michigan.
That's right. And our plan puts, this year $600 million more dollars into roads, which would be an all-time record for Michigan. And it also makes sure we have adequate funding here in Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties. And so that's a start. We'll continue to negotiate, but it certainly is a significant start to that funding.
So, how does the process work then, as you understand it? The state house has sent a budget over to the Senate. The Senate's working on one too. That gets worked out between the two houses and then goes to the governor. And then what? The governor either signs it or doesn't.
Right. Yeah, the governor can sign it or veto it. The state has to pass a budget by September 30th, or else the government would shut down. So
Hmm.
we're committed to doing that. We've added a number of session days over the summer. My understanding is the politicians used to not work during the summer, at least in Lansing. So this year we've got a lot of dates in July and August, and we'll be working hard to get the budget done, and without a big tax increase.
And I should know this, but I really don't. I mean, does our governor have a line item veto option when it comes to budgets?
She does. So that's why the ideal solution is to work something out with her, that we all can agree on, without line item
Hmm.
vetoes. But she could line item veto, and governors have done that in the past in divided government.
State Representative Matt Hall is with us. Your first piece of legislation about to get through.
Yeah, I had my first bill passed the House of Representatives. Most people know I started in January, and so I got my first bill passed. It was a bipartisan bill. We had 90 votes out of 110, and what it does is I consider this common sense criminal justice reform. And if there's one area that Republicans and Democrats are really getting along, other than auto insurance, it's been these areas of civil liberties and criminal justice. And what this does is if you're a valid concealed pistol license holder and you forget to renew your license, maybe something's happened in your life and you didn't remember to renew it, you would not be a felon. Right now, under Michigan law, uh, you know, the day after you forget to renew your CPL, you're a felony. That's a felony if you're carrying, and so this would make it a civil infraction if it happened within the first year and you were eligible. It wouldn't be, if you didn't renew it because you committed a felony. This would be only for people that are otherwise eligible, and I think, as you know, Tim, people with a CPL by nature are some of the most law-abiding people. You have to pass a background check.
Right. Yeah. I wonder how that got in there in the first place. If it was an oversight, or if somebody just was reluctant to sign the bill and said, "All right, I'll tell you what, we'll throw in this thing. It'll punish people if they forget to renew it. All right, if we can punish them, we'll vote for it." I don't know. I don't know what the deal was. Or maybe it was just an oversight. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but it's nice that that gets fixed, because that was just ridiculous.
That's right. And I talked to an attorney who testified in committee, and he said he deals with about one of these a month. And
Huh.
depending on what county you live in, you may get hit with that felony. Some prosecutors will negotiate this down to a misdemeanor, but it'll cost you $10,000 or more.
Yeah.
Others will hit you with the felony, and that's a not an equal application of justice. So I think it's best we just make this a civil infraction and treat it as what it is, which is a paperwork oversight.
Tell us again where you're going to be today. You're going to be over at the VFW in Marshall this morning at what, 9?
That's right. I'll be over there at Marshall at the VFW at 9, and over at the Galesburg Charleston District Library at 3:30 for my office hours. I want to be accessible to the people of Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties, and that's why I come here every month, and we do office hours to talk and listen to what the people I represent
Yep.
want to talk about.
And in between, you might stop out at the casino there for their. They're going to have a little groundbreaking on their second hotel, which is hard to believe, but that's going according to plan. They laid the groundwork for that when they built the first hotel. They kind of had a vision that, hey, we're probably going to need a second hotel, so they put in the tunnels and a lot of the conduits and groundwork. So it should go up pretty quickly, I think, and it's going to be a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited, and this is an important employer in our community, and I've had a number of meetings with members of the tribe here, and I'm just so grateful for what they do for Calhoun counties.
State Representative Matt Hall, thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.